The Crown of Submission, the royal journey of Zaydun, king of the Jinn. This story delves into the unseen world to tell the tale of a monarch unlike any other, a being whose very existence is a testament to the mysteries that lie just beyond our perception. It speaks of King Zaydun, a sovereign of the Jinn, a powerful and ancient race created from what the Qur'an describes as a smokeless flame of fire, Qur'an 55:15. This is the account of his heroic journey, a path defined not by conquest but by crisis, not by the strength of his armies but by the shattering of his own soul. It is the story of how a mighty king was forced to confront a power that dwarfed his own, leading him to a choice between his fiery crown and a crown of eternal submission, the silent heavens. In a realm that shimmers with shades of amethyst and silver, King Zaydun's authority was law. From his throne within a palace of shifting obsidian, he commanded a court of shimmering hierarchies, where lesser fiery spirits bowed before the brilliant ancient forms of his lords and generals. His reign was absolute, his influence maintained by a crucial advantage, knowledge gleaned from the edges of the heavens. But what happens to a king whose power is built on secrets when the source of those secrets is suddenly and violently sealed? The sky had become a barrier of fire. Zaydun's scouts, once masters of the celestial pathways, now returned burned and trembling, speaking of brilliant projectiles that screamed through the void to deny them passage. An unnerving silence fell over the kingdom's intelligence network. Fear, a cold and foreign emotion, began to coil in the heart of their fiery world. But what is pride to a being whose very form is a testament to untamed power? Is it a sin, or is it simply the nature of fire? For Zaydun, his fear was quickly consumed by a blazing indignation. Some unknown power had dared to challenge him. He resolved not just to identify this new force, but to conquer it, to master it, and to bend it to his own will. The voice in the valley. The king's hunt for his rival led him and his royal retinue, veiled in the invisibility of their race, across the sleeping deserts of Arabia. His essence crackled with regal fury, a storm of power seeking its adversary. In the barren, moon-drenched expanse of the Nakhla Valley, that search came to a jarring end. He felt an authority that dwarfed his own, a serene, immense power emanating from a single, lone human figure, the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, seeking solace after the painful rejection by the people of Taif, was standing in.
How does a mind that thinks in terms of millennia react to a truth that feels both eternally ancient and shockingly new? For Zaydun, the sound of the Quran was not merely heard, it was an experience that imposed a divine, perfect order upon his chaotic, fiery being. It was a spiritual geometry that restructured his very soul. Each verse was a declaration from the true king, the sole sovereign of all worlds, that rendered Zaydun's own kingship a fleeting charade. He had found the power that sealed the heavens, but it was not a weapon to be wielded or a magic to be learned. It was the absolute, unchallengeable authority of the Creator. He fled the valley that night, his royal pride shattered, his mind unable to categorize what he had witnessed. It was not poetry, nor was it a spell. It was truth, and it had left him feeling like an imposter on his own throne. The war for a king's soul. A king's inner turmoil is a poison that can sicken an entire kingdom. Zaydun returned to his obsidian palace,
the haunting echo of the recitation replaying endlessly in his mind. He concealed his spiritual crisis, but his newfound hesitation was a scent of blood in the water for his rivals. How can a ruler lead when he is at war with his own soul? He dispatched his most trusted scout, a wise Jinn named Safir, not to submit, but to spy. "Find this man's weakness," Zaydun commanded, his voice strained. "Find the source of his trickery. No mortal can possess such power without a flaw." Safir returned, his usual fiery confidence replaced by a quiet, bewildered awe. "My king," he began, his voice low, "I found no army. I found no treasury. I saw him share his food with a stray cat. I saw his enemies throw filth upon him, and he only prayed for their guidance. Their hearts are not bound to him by fear, but by a love I cannot comprehend." Safir then recounted the most astonishing event. He saw a rebellious Jinn, a being of considerable power, attempt to torment one of the Prophet's followers. The human simply recited a passage from the Qur'an, and the arrogant Jinn shrieked as if doused in celestial light, its form dissolving into panicked smoke. The report was a devastating blow to Zaydun's pride. There was no trick to expose. The power was real, and it came from utter submission, a concept his kingly mind could not grasp. Meanwhile, a rebellious lord began to spread whispers through the court. Zaydun has been enchanted by the pledge in the dark. The king had reached his breaking point. His kingdom was fracturing and his soul was in torment. He had tried to defy the truth, to rationalize it, to command it, but he had failed. He was a king on his knees in the privacy of his own mind. Only one path remained, the one he had resisted with every fiber of his being: surrender. What is the final weight that can crush a crown of pride? It is the realization of one's own utter powerlessness before God. In an act of profound humility, Zaydun journeyed back into the human realm, not as a spy or a conqueror, but as a supplicant seeking an audience. This led to the historic meeting recorded in Islamic tradition. In the dead of night, the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, went out to meet the delegation from the unseen world. There, King Zaydun, the mighty sovereign of the Jinn, stood before the messenger of God. The knot of pride that had been strangling his essence finally came undone. The feeling was one of indescribable relief, as if a cool, peaceful rain was dousing the raging fire within him for the first time in his long existence. He and his loyal court gave their pledge of allegiance, a willing and total submission to the Lord of all worlds. The reign of light, King Zaydun, returned to his realm, not just a king, but a caliph, a custodian of a divine trust. The very atmosphere of the obsidian palace had changed. The shadows seemed less menacing, replaced by a gentle silvery light. When a rebel lord confronted him, spitting insults about his newfound faith, Zaydun did not respond with a threat. He simply recited a verse from the Qur'an he had learned. The words hung in the air, serene and unshakable, and the rebel lord fell silent, his fiery arrogance extinguished by a power he could not challenge. How does a kingdom transform when its king rules not by the force of his will, but by the guidance of divine revelation? Zaydun's kingdom was reborn. He taught his people the verses of protection, healing the spiritual sickness that the rebellion had caused. His reign became one of unparalleled justice and mercy. The story of Zaydun, the king who laid down his crown of fire to receive a crown of faith, serves as an eternal testament to the nature of true power. It forces each of us to ask, what sits upon the throne of our own inner kingdom? Is it our pride, our desires, our ambition? Or have we, like the king of the Jinn, learned that true peace and ultimate sovereignty are found only when we kneel before the King of all kings?